2023 was an amazing year for tech. Oh my gosh, so many good stuff came out this year. I could make a whole video on all the good stuff. And I did, and that's this video, actually. Another year in the bag of years. Man, that just flew by, didn't it? It seems like just yesterday I was wondering if the pandemic would ever end, if we'd ever see GPUs on the shelves again, if we'd ever get a good cheap handheld that could play GameCube, if I'd ever move out of my mom's basement and move in with my girlfriend. And now, well, some of that stuff happened. So let's celebrate the victories. I had a great time this year, checking out a ton of fun stuff, playing with it, showing it to you guys. And today I'm gonna share with you my top something tech of 2023. I didn't actually count them, but I'll put it on the screen, I guess. Some number of tech products that I liked and wanted to give one last time in the spotlight before we put 2023 behind us and look towards the future. 2024, the year of TechDweeb. That's what I'm calling it, and I'd appreciate if you did too. This list isn't in order, by the way, although I think I will save the best for last. It's just a hodgepodge of tech that I love this year. And lucky for you, I made videos on everything that you're gonna see. I'll include links to my videos and the product pages if you want to pick any of them up for yourself. There's a whole bunch of stuff to get through here, so without further dilly-dallying, as my mom would say, let's check out my favorite 2023 tech, shall we? First up, we have this, the Hyperbase Mix Emulation Drive. I love these sorts of products. I've checked out quite a few. They aren't anything fancy. It's just a hard drive preloaded with a retro gaming setup, including the front end for organizing and browsing and launching your games, all the emulators pre-configured and ready to rock, and of course all the games that you could ever want. Full disclosure, you could totally make this sort of thing yourself. I made a video about how to do that, but you don't have to if you buy something all set up for you. I've reviewed a handful of these drives, and this one, the Hyperbase Mix, is a 5 terabyte drive, and it's freaking packed with games. Tons of high-end stuff, like hundreds and hundreds of PS1, and Dreamcast, and Saturn, GameCube, Wii, PS2, Nintendo Switch. This is the first really good collection on a drive product like this that I've seen. And it was a well-done front end, it all just worked. And as a side bonus, the video that I made reviewing this is my top performing video ever. So I think it's a product that's very appealing to lots of people. I reviewed a freaking ton of handhelds on my channel in 2023, and they all started to feel samey after a while, but not the POWKIDDY RGB30. In a world of clones and copycats, this thing felt like it did something genuinely unique. It's the first handheld that I found that gave us a square screen. I find the more handhelds that I get, the more that having devices that are perfect for one specific thing is important. And I'm such a huge fan of everything that this does well. Like the original Game Boy, PIXOO 8, Nintendo DS, and vertical shooters, which just play so perfectly on the RGB30. So I just ended up grabbing this handheld a lot to play with over the last year, ever since I got it. And even for older systems like NES, Super Nintendo, Sega, this thing is amazing because the screen is so high quality in general. Not only that, but it has enough horsepower to play Dreamcast, PSP, Nintendo 64, and it has great controls, and it's pocket friendly. And the best part is that it came out at a very competitive price. Definitely watch my review of this thing if you haven't yet. It's truly unique and worth checking out. Steam Decks are great, but Steam Decks are expensive. One thing that I started doing a lot in 2023 was streaming. Not online streaming, I don't have great internet for that, but local streaming. My gaming computer is downstairs in my dungeon of solitude, but sometimes I want to go hang out upstairs and play games while I eat cereal in the kitchen, or while I sit on the couch with my mom, or maybe I want to play games in other places. The GAMESIR X2 Pro let me do just that. It's a telescopic controller that you can slap on the phone that you already have, and then you can stream your gaming PC to your phone and have an experience that's nearly identical to having a dedicated handheld gaming PC. but much more powerful, using much less battery in a lightweight, attractive form factor. The controls on the device are amazing. It's comfortable, and the gaming quality is basically as good, if not better, than using a dedicated device like the Deck. If you have a gaming PC, you owe it to yourself to at least try local streaming. And the X2 Pro is just a really high quality, cheap entry point. On the topic of my gaming PC, this year, I wasn't super excited with the new PC tech offerings. Nothing really stood out to me as being really exciting enough to make lots of videos about, but I did want to try out a 40 series GPU because there was some excitement around DLSS 3, so I went for the 4070 Ti. That seemed like the best bang for the buck 40 series GPU that would actually be an upgrade from my old 3080. I enjoyed testing DLSS 3 on it. I made a video about it if you want to know more about it, but the main reason that I love the 4070 Ti is that it's my GPU. It's what makes my computer games look good. And while I don't use DLSS 3 in every single game all the time, it's amazing in the games that do support it, and it's still a freaking monster of a GPU. My main display is a 100Hz WQHD ultra-wide display, and the 4070 Ti is just enough horsepower that I can max out games, including ray tracing, at the resolution that I need and the frame rate that I target. It's the perfect middle ground, and it's perfect for my needs, and I play all my PC games on it, so obviously it had to make the list. We've been flooded with retro handhelds this year, including some pretty darn powerful ones, but the ODIN 2 is probably the most disruptive high-end emulation-focused handheld that's available right now. I don't actually have an ODIN 2. I borrowed one to make my review, but I regret that I don't have one, and I'm probably gonna get one because it's hands down the best of the best Android handhelds. This thing plays everything. Everything you could want to play. If it plays on Android, you can play it on the ODIN 2. You can max out GameCube and Wii and PS2, 3DS, even Nintendo Switch, and not only does it run great, it plays great too, because the device itself is so great. Everything about it. The controls are perfect, the ergonomics are comfortable, it has every other feature that you could want in terms of connectivity and wireless stuff, and the screen is the best in class. It's kind of baffling that we get this much gaming on a device of this quality at this price. It's not cheap, but if you wanted to get into high-end emulation, there's really no better choice than the ODIN 2. Next up, we have my keyboard, the KEYCHRON K10. I love keyboards. I love trying different keyboards, testing them out, seeing what makes them different, learning what I like, and I was finally ready to pull the trigger and get myself a great mechanical keyboard. I had a few specific needs. I wanted it to be Bluetooth with the ability to be wired via USB-C, built-in battery. I wanted to be able to hot swap the switches in case I ever wanted to tinker around, and it needed to be full size. I know lots of people go for the 10 key list with the numpad on the side, but that's not gonna be me. I need my numpad on my keyboard. After hunting high and low, I found the best option for me was this KEYCHRON K10, and I'm so glad I made this choice. I love this thing. I mean, it's a keyboard, so there's not a lot to say without getting into the nitty-gritty. It has RGB, but I don't use that. It has a big battery. The Bluetooth is good, no lag. I swapped the caps, so I got my orange and black vibe going, and it just works amazing. It's so comfortable, and I use it so much that I kinda hate using any other keyboard. This is the only keyboard that I ever want to use, and I hope it lasts forever because it's perfect. I reviewed a lot of mini PCs in 2023. I've come to really enjoy reviewing these things, so I just say yes to every company that wants to send me one. I've tried big beefy mini PCs, tiny little baby ones, unique, interesting ones, but this one is my absolute favorite. The Beelink Sur 6 Max. It's the one that I have recommended the most, and it's an incredible piece of tech considering how much performance you get in this tiny form factor, and also the performance that you get for the price. It's usually between $450 and $550, depending on the sales or whatever, and you get a lot of gaming performance with this thing. You can play old games with maxed out ultra settings, any low spec game or indie game will run with high refresh rates, AAA games will play great at 1080p if you keep the settings modest, and you can do basically any emulation, including GameCube, PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, Nintendo Switch, anything you could want really. But it's not a monster of a gaming PC, but for the price and the fact that it's about the size of a sandwich, this thing is my favorite mini PC that I've gotten my hands on and played with, and it'll be a hard one to top, I think. Among the handhelds that I've reviewed this year, there was one that surprised me more than any other. Not because of the device itself, which turned out to be way better than I thought it would, but because of how it made me feel. As I was testing the RETROID Pocket 2S for my review, it reminded me of why I love retro gaming so much. It's a good device, it has great controls and a good screen and good performance for the price, but the nostalgic retro form factor and the experience of gaming on it was really what made it special for me. The RP2S is the culmination of what the retro handheld industry has been working towards, giving us a great budget device that feels nostalgic with all the features we could want, with the horsepower to play up to GameCube and PS2 for the magic price point of around $100. It's one of my favorite devices of the year, and it's also one of my favorite handhelds of all time. It's just a special device, and it does so much, and it's amazing that we can get all this for like $100. If you haven't seen my video review, please go check that out because it's probably my favorite video that I've ever made. So far. I have quite a few game controllers of different sizes and shapes, but I didn't have a controller that I loved for retro gaming. I always just used my Xbox controller or whatever, and it never really felt authentic. But the 8BitDo SN30 Pro is the one that I've been waiting for, I think. It's a modern controller with all the bells and whistles that you'd expect from a Bluetooth controller in 2023. Great controls, solid connection, compatibility with different devices, a big battery that charges quickly and lasts days and days and days, but the best part about it is how it feels to use with retro games. Pretty much any retro game that I play on this thing feels perfect. Obviously, the classic retro stuff feels great considering the SNES vibes of this thing, but even for higher end retro games like PS2 or GameCube or Switch, the tight controls and analog sticks just work perfect for any retro style game. You can play modern PC games with it, and lots of those feel great, but I don't particularly like it for modern AAA games or FPS games, but I have other controllers for those. This is my retro gaming buddy. I use it anytime I play retro games on any device. If you've been on the hunt for the perfect retro game controller, then check out the SN30 Pro. It might be the controller that you've been searching for. This thing is not like most of the other things on my list. This is the DIVOOM PIXOO 64, and it's a display specifically made to show off really cool pixel art. When I got this, I had no idea that it would actually become something that I loved. Even at the end of my review, I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool, pick it up if you like it, but since then, I've come to actually love this thing. I have it set up on my desk, and it's always on. Sometimes I have it show a single image for like days at a time, or sometimes I have it cycle through my saved favorites. Sometimes I have it show random stuff from the online gallery, and sometimes I have it show in my YouTube stats. But regardless, it's always on, and it's probably my favorite decoration that I have in my room. That's how I think of it. It's not a monitor, it's not a photo frame, it's not a practical piece of tech, it's a decoration. And as decorations go, it's amazingly customizable, and it's just a way to show off some amazing pixel art. If you're into pixel art, if you like community-made pixel art or game sprites or data displays that show the weather or stocks or YouTube stats or whatever, then definitely check out the PIXOO 64. And now I've saved the best for last. I couldn't decide which was the best. My next two items are a toss-up. I love them equally. The first is the MIYOO Mini Plus. My OG subscribers know that the original MIYOO Mini was not only my favorite handheld, but my favorite thing. It went with me everywhere. It lived in my pocket, and I played it multiple times a day, every day. However, once word got out that the OG MIYOO Mini was going out of production, my attitude towards the Mini changed. It suddenly became a precious thing, and the thought of breaking it or losing it or whatever made me not want to carry it around anymore. It was heartbreaking, but then we got a new version in the form of the MIYOO Mini Plus. It's a bit bigger, a bit less pocket-friendly, but I don't care. It's my new retro gaming buddy. I carry this thing around all over the place. I play with it multiple times a day, every day. I made videos about it. I made videos about ONION.OS. I made videos about how to make your own theme. I made a theme, and that's included with ONION.OS. And in my latest video, I showed you the perfect MIYOO Mini that you can buy with a bunch of accessories and ONION.OS pre-installed with all the games. And it blows my mind that this thing is as cheap as it is. It has amazing controls, great screen, Wi-Fi for retro achievements, an amazing operating system, and it's just so darn cute. It's small, and convenient and fun. I'll link to my latest MIYOO Mini video below, but I've made a ton of them. I can't speak highly enough about this thing. It's my most recommended retro handheld, for good reason. It's cheap and it's great. And my other top, most amazingest piece of tech of 2023 is the Steam Deck. I was on the fence about the deck for a very long time, and I was convinced that I wasn't missing out on anything by not getting a deck, and then I got one, and immediately I realized my mistake. The Steam Deck is more than just a handheld computer. It's a consoleized version of Steam itself. I have played so much more PC games on the deck simply because of what it is. It's kinda ugly, but get this in your hands and you'll quickly realize that it's a device made with comfort in mind above all else. It just fits perfect in your hands with the perfect weight distribution, and it's made to be played. I have been playing so much of my Steam backlog because of the deck. I find myself grabbing this thing to play games even though I have a gaming PC and another gaming PC attached to my TV. I don't game on those nearly as often as the deck because they're just not a consoleized experience the way the deck is. I could just push the button on the deck and within seconds I'll be in my game, playing wherever I am in the house, and if I want to stop playing I just tap that button and it's just turned off until the next time I turn it on, and I'm playing all these games on a fun little device that makes the games fun too. And then the OLED deck came along and sealed the deal. I really liked the deck, but when I got an OLED deck, I fell in love with it. It's just like one of my favorite tech things became about 10% better. And it turns out that that was the 10% needed to make me utterly obsessed with this thing. I'm not saying everyone in the world should have a deck. I would never say that. And everyone, yes, everyone should have one. But for me, the deck has become an integral part of my life. And in the landscape of tech that I played with in 2023, it, alongside the MIYOO Mini, have left a lasting impression on me. I'm sure I'm gonna get to play with a lot of fun tech toys in 2024, and I'm super excited to see what the next year holds. But these things that I showed you today left a great impression on me. Some of them I intend on having forever, and I'm sure some of them will be replaced by the next thing that comes along. But that's one of the best parts about tech. It's always changing, giving us better and better toys, and it keeps us excited. And tuned into TechDweeb, of course. Because I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here in 2024 and beyond to show you all the fun stuff I get my dweeby hands on, giving you my thoughts, making my jokes, and just doing my thing, whatever that is. Yeah, thanks for joining me this year. I don't say it often, but it's because of you that I'm able to do this, you know? Just you being here, watching my videos. That's why I get to spend my days doing all the fun stuff that I get to spend my days doing. So thanks for being here. And an extra special thanks to my generous supporters on Patreon who helped me out this year. Honestly, your support has meant the world to me and given me a bit of extra money to spend on my YouTube production gear to make better videos. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you would like to join my Patreon and help support the things that I do, there's a link in the description below. I hope you had a great 2023. Hope 2024 is even better. And as always, I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.